And we're back. Thanks for joining me again. This is going to be part 3 of our How to Draw HD Remix session. And we are learning how to draw character art in Adobe Illustrator. Now, in our first session, we talked about doing your research. Basically, what we did was we went to Google Images and we looked up, if we were doing our own original character, we looked up different versions of it or just images that were around the internet that showed our character. And the purpose of us doing that was so that we could see how our character is drawn and or depicted everywhere. And the purpose of that is so that we can accurately figure out which elements are most important, even if we decide to stylize our character, what we need to keep, what we need to do away with, where we can break and bend the rules. Okay? So then we moved on to our second section, and that session was about us actually doing thumbnails, which you see here. And we said we would do 5 to 10 thumbnails, and then we talked about the importance of them and why we create those thumbnails and how we were going to move forward to a tighter sketch. And if you remember in that section, I actually picked my second thumbnail. Now, this was what we were going to tighten up and bring into this section, which is a tightened line sketch. All right, so if you look at this, you'll see over to the left, I have a thumbnail set up, and this is actually what I tighten mine into, and that's what you're going to do. So you're going to take that actual thumbnail that you chose, that you felt best depicted your character, and you're then going to tighten that up. And now if you look at this version of what I've done, it is essentially this second thumbnail. I just made it a little bit more realistic and added more details to the character illustration. Now this is what I'm going to be taking into Adobe Illustrator, and the reason you want it as tight as possible is because your line work prior to bringing it in the program is the single most important aspect of how your illustration is going to turn out. You want to make sure it is as close to how you want your final product as possible, sans you deciding to add different elements or effects or whatever the case may be. But you want the core of the illustration to be precisely what you want it to turn out to be in your final piece. If you do not have that, it's going to be an uphill battle the whole way that you're designing this. So make sure your sketch is as tight as possible. Take your time. Sketch it out loosely and then slowly tighten it up. Add shading where you may want shading, details where you may want details, and just go throughout the whole thing. Look it over a couple of times. Get up, move back, take a breather, make sure that you can get a fresh perspective. Because if you sit down in front of something too long, it tends to become mundane and you start drawing just to draw as opposed to drawing to perfect something. Something somebody told me a long time ago was actually a band teacher that I had, was that practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So make sure that you're doing it the right way, not that you're just doing it. Because if you're just doing it, you're going to get accustomed to actually just doing things and it not being how you want it to be. Do it how it's supposed to be and how you want it to be, and then you won't have any regrets while you're doing the actual illustration in Adobe Illustrator later. So nail this part down. Take that thumbnail that you originally created and decided upon, expand upon it, detail it, and then once you're done with that, we're going to move on to the next section, and that section is going to be digital inking. This is where the fun part starts. I love inking because it allows you to set the overall appearance of how your piece is going to be in Illustrator. And that's when you can start to manipulate it and you can change the overall mood from even how this line work is set up in your Titan sketch. Okay, so thanks again for joining me thus far. I hope you guys are enjoying the series and the quality of the series. This is an upgrade from the previous version. You can still go back and you can see the previous version if there are things in there that you feel you may want to check out that I may have missed in this, but I doubt I did. And then you can come back and you can check this one out. But stay tuned. Again, we started with research, then thumbs, then we tightened our sketch, and now we're going to move on to inking. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next session. All right, take it easy.